So those you sent me some questions. I wanted to let our listeners hear this. I thought it would be interesting. Remember you said,
Yes.
what do you think of these questions? And I said, ask me.
Yeah. Yeah. I sent
Give
you
me
this.
some background on it, then
Yeah, a little
ask me.
background. This
Ask
is,
everybody, ask all the listeners these questions.
well, yeah, I can post a link to this. This is an article from the New York Times some time ago. And it's like 36 questions to find out if you're in love or something like that. Okay. It's, it's a set of 36 questions that get more and more personal. And the idea is that you and your potential partner would ask each other these questions.
Oh,
And as you go through the questions, you would both kind of realize whether you're a fit for each other or not. But some of these questions don't. I mean, I'm not going to propose to you at any time in the future here. So uh,
so does it apply to those of us who got married hotter than a pepper sprout?
that would be you, I guess, right? But I thought
Ah,
the questions get more and more personal. So I just
yeah.
took the first four questions and sent them to you. I thought we could talk about these because this is not something you would necessarily have
I
to.
want to talk about the first question you
These would
sent
be
me.
like old buck questions. Okay,
Yeah,
let me ask the
remember?
first question.
Hmm.
Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest?
Now, for all the listeners, I want you to ponder that. Now, I'm just going to assume that this is a living person, right? We'll just
Doesn't
keep
have
it.
to be.
I didn't think it did, but I'm going to choose a living person because um, I just felt it appropriate for this question. I mean, if I want to invite somebody for dinner, I want to sit and eat and talk to them. So I gave it a lot of thought,
Okay,
and I have my answer. Uh, and the
drum
answer
roll.
is I'm opening the envelope now. And the answer is the person that I would love to have dinner with would be Anthony Doerr.
Anthony Doerr, the author.
Anthony Doerr, the author, the
Good
man who wrote
choice.
All the Light
Yeah.
We Cannot See and Cloud Cuckoo Land. And
Yeah. Excellent choice.
I gave that a lot of thought. In fact, that I looked at that and I thought it on and off and on and off and on and off and on. You thought about sports figures or this, that, or the other thing, or
Hmm.
uh, famous people. And I said, this is a man who would challenge my brain to figure out how his mind could work like that to write the books
To
that he
write that
wrote.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, to write that
Yeah.
stuff. And I thought it'd be absolutely fascinating to hear his logic of how he put that one story together, that Cloud Cuckoo Land story.
Yeah.
Uh, so that would be the guy I would choose.
Excellent
So who would
choice.
you choose?
Well, I got a little more liberal here. I chose my dad. Okay, I would love to have dinner with my dad.
Well,
Of course, he died at age 72, New Year's Day, 1982, way too early, unexpectedly. Um, and just to kind of bring him up to date on the family, tell him what's going on since he left us. Life is good. Da 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 da. Tell him I love him. Probably didn't say that enough to each other. Back in the day. And I just tell him what I think about him every day. And I really do. I really do.
because
Um,
when you mentioned that, that's I mean, I thought about that too. I mean, somebody like that, that maybe passed away, was really close to
mhm.
you. And it is like you would. I've always hoped that my dad now passed away at 62,
Yeah,
and
even earlier, even
and
sooner.
he barely saw me succeed and fail a couple times. You know what I mean? Every time I came home with the trunk, everything in the trunk of the car that I was driving is that all that I owned, and I come pitching up for a couple of days.
Uh,
So where I fuel up, borrow some money from him, and go off again or something like that. Probably never would have. He didn't live long enough to see me succeed and fail and succeed and survive. Pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a good choice. Well,
It's interesting. I mean, not only have we known each other forever, we've known each other's dads
we
for.
did, we did.
Your dad Joe was just a sweet guy.
Yeah.
Big hulking guy. I mean,
Six, 6'3".
6'3" and just looks like
Uh,
all muscle. And he and my dad, of course, they worked together.
they did.
Maintaining the ball field, and
That's right.
so they were good buddies. So yeah, yeah. So your dad was a good guy.
Well, to all those folks out there listening, that's a question you can ponder. If you want to write something into us or tell us about that, we'd love to hear from you. But
Yeah, good point.
so,
Yeah.
what was the next question?
Next question: would you like to be famous, and if so, in what way? Talk to
Now,
me.
did you? What does the word famous mean?
Well, I'm going to give it a very wide berth
Because I
here.
I looked it up.
Okay, tell me. Tell me. I kind of looked at it as somebody who's world renowned, well known by everybody,
Known far and wide,
known
basically.
for yeah.
Right. So somebody, well, like you would have to say Taylor Swift or somebody. She would be famous, right?
There you go.
Or
That's kind of a
uh,
worst case
yeah, a
or best
quarterback
case,
for
I
a.
guess. Yeah,
I mean, a quarterback for a football team would be
right.
famous, but I don't know if they'd be world famous. Maybe she is, but
Well, it just says
famous
famous.
is
Would you
far and
like to
wide.
be famous? And in
Actually,
what way?
I you know I thought about that, and sometimes in the parameters of your world, you can be famous. You know what I mean? Like we came from a small town nestled
Uh-huh.
between two hills with a river in the middle and the
The
train
river
tracks next
runs
to the
through it.
river
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything on either side. So if you were known there, you were kind of famous. You could walk down the street, everybody knew you.
You were famous. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at the parameters of the world you're in, but I have no desire to be more famous than that. I mean, I have no desire even to put in the effort to become world renowned, even if I came up with something really
Uh-huh.
fantastic, like those guys you discover who you said, I wonder who developed that, some little scientist we never heard too much about,
Mm-hmm.
but he came up with something called Velcro, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or and never became world famous, yet what he did was, you know, had a world impact. So
Yeah.
no, no desire to be famous.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. I'm thinking similarly. Okay, I'm maybe a little more flamboyant than you are in this whole thing. Because I mean, I would not like to be movie star famous. I would not like to be Taylor Swift famous. I would not like to be NFL quarterback famous. That sort of thing. That just seems like it's so exhausting. You know. But maybe niche famous. Like have famous in a little niche. And like you pointed out, the guy who invented Velcro, something
Yeah.
like that would be all right. So the kind of things I'm thinking like, well, it would be nice to have been a pro cyclist, win a couple of the Tour de France events, something like that. Um,
You mean like to say you were the first person who was 68 years old and come in 15th in the Tour de France or something like
yeah, maybe something like that.
that.
Yeah, maybe a little more aggressive than that. But somebody that's known in their sphere, but not necessarily worldwide famous kind of thing.
Well,
I think
I'm
that'd be
gonna I'm gonna go out on a limb here, but I'm gonna predict that you probably will be known in your sphere, as you say it, if after April and you
oh
go and you go off into sometime in the summer and on a bike and you go that many miles on a bicycle at that age, at our age, I think somebody would say, "Look at that guy." So
he
you'll be
may, he
famous.
may he may not be famous, but he's stupid, something like that. Yeah, I mean other kind of things like maybe be an author, like not James Patterson or Stephen King famous, anything like that. Maybe somebody like Rick Bass or Kevin Barry, somebody
Well,
who's kind of appreciated within their niche.
don't you have
That's
to start a little bit earlier in life than we did? I mean, you didn't have time for much of that until you kind of retired and you was able to.
well, I'm presuming we can turn back the hands of time here. I mean, I'm not starting today. It's too late for any of this. Or maybe
That's true. But
other things that I thought about over time, like a singer songwriter. I had a
really,
Yeah, I thought about that I thought it would be cute. It'd be cool. Again, not to be, filling stadiums or anything, but maybe small venues.
So
But
we could be like what Gershwin and I mean who's the other guy? There's a couple of songwriters. Neither one of us plays an instrument well enough to do that. But you
well,
could,
that was probably the part of the thing that shelved that long ago because I cannot play an instrument and I cannot sing. So
yeah.
I feel like maybe like a medical researcher, somebody who does something that's beneficial, but it's not, you know. I think
Okay, so
we're kind of talking down the same trail here. Maybe I'm
yeah.
I'm being a little more.
And when I tell you about this new book I discovered, I'll mention something similar to that. So what was another? There was the next question
Okay,
in there. What was the next
we
question?
got four questions here. Maybe